I'm AC Brown, and you're listening to Is My Aura On Straight, a podcast designed to help you start living from your core instead of your conditioning. Each week, we'll discuss topics ranging from human design, astrology, metaphysics, spiritual self-development, and everything in between. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Is My Aura On Straight. I am your host, AC Brown. I'm your spiritual doula, intuitive strategist, and human design expert, and I'm also an entrepreneur. And I want to thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Is My Aura On Straight. Today, we are talking about something that is extremely important, and it is profiles. And the name of this episode is Profiling and Styling, because your profile is a part of your personality style and how you play out your human design in the world. So we're going to talk about your profile. I'm not going to go through each of the numbers individually. I'm just going to talk about the combinations of them, in which there are 12 profiles. So we're going to talk about the combination. Now, I want to give a little bit of a disclaimer before I get into this episode. Knowing your birth time is extremely important, not only in astrology, but in human design. But here's where human design gets a little bit intricate, is where you really need to know your birth time, is because your profile usually changes. Just like in astrology, you really need to know your birth time so you can know what your rising sign is. And your rising sign is the face that you have, your walking self when people first meet you. So your profile, in the same aspect, is how your design, how you play it out in life. After you follow your strategy, and after you follow your authority, your profile is how you will play it out. So if you have ran your chart, or if I've ran your chart and you did not know your birth time and you just put 12 o'clock, unfortunately, it is not going to be as accurate as possible for your profile. So I would suggest, just because you should know your time of birth, I think everybody should know it, but that's just me. I come from a family where numbers are extremely important to us. My grandmother, not only did she play numbers, but she was very involved in numerology and numbers of things. So even down to, from Bible, Psalms, and just everything, and to even where we lived, we picked certain numbers if it was a good number. Also to down to your phone number. Like when I would pick phone numbers, or we would pick phone numbers growing up, they would have to be good numbers. So I come from a family where I think majority, if we don't know our birth time, our parents know our birth time. Numbers are extremely important to us. So I come from a family that numbers are just really important. So that's why when people are like, I ask people, how do you not know your birth time? And that's just, my grandmother knows everybody's birth time, their dates. We're just a really huge numbers family. When I pick my, like I said, phone numbers, where we live, it's just really important. I think all of my cousins, all of my aunts and uncles, we know what time we were born, all of that. So it's just a thing with us. So if you don't have that luxury of knowing your numbers, and I tell people, if your parents don't know it, if they can give you a rough estimate, like a 2-hour span, like, oh, I think you were born at 9 something in the morning, that's better than nothing. But for my people who are listening to this, who are either adopted or their parents are deceased and they cannot ask anybody in their family, you can contact, I know a client that I work with, she contacted where her birth state, where she was born, and she was able to find her records. And she was doing that anyway, just for her own personal thing. But majority of birth certificates have your birth time on it. It's very rare that it doesn't. Some states, surprisingly, depending on the years that you were born, they do not have it on there. But when it comes to your profile, and of course your chart, it's very important to, AM and PM are vast difference. It's very important to know that. So that's just a little disclaimer here. So if I've ran your chart or if you've run your chart on your own and you use 12 o'clock, your profile might not be correct. So just a heads up. So we're going to get started on profiles. So what are your profiles? So your profiles are connected to your life purpose or what make you unique. So your profile brings to light some of the major themes in your life. Your profile assists you in your purpose to unfolding your purpose to you naturally. So every profile has its own unique gifts, talents, challenges, all of that stuff. Your profile is what I like to say, it's my belief, is that how your strategy plays out in your life. And we'll go through the profiles, how it plays out. So, of course, you have to follow your strategy, and then for your strategy, your profile will play out itself. It's how you respond when if you're a generator or a manifesting generator. It's how you respond if you're a projector. It's after the invitation and after you follow your authority. It is how you play it out with those opportunities that are presented to yourself. Same with manifestors. After you get something to, you have something to inform, and then it's how you act it out. That's your profile. So your profile consists of 2 numbers. In human design, you will hear a lot of conscious and unconscious. And your profile is a combination of 2 numbers. The first number is your conscious theme. The second number is an unconscious theme. It is my belief in my years of studying human design that your conscious theme are just things that you can access, that you know about yourself. The unconscious themes in your chart are how you're supposed to pretty much, it's part of your design, but it's part of your transformation. And it's the things that you're supposed to grow into or overcome. So your first number is a conscious theme. That's something that you are able to tap into. The second number is something that is unconscious, that you grow into or that you experience unconsciously. And I'm sure everybody can get that concept together. So I'm going to go over the 12 profiles and then we'll wrap it up. And I don't have any help my aura. Nobody wanted to help my aura today, but that's okay. More questions will come, but this is a good way to, figure out how you act out your aura type and your strategy. And you'll always hear people say, oh, I'm a manifesting generator 1-3. That's what they mean by that. This is your profile. So we'll start with the first one, which is 1-3. And 1-3 is the investigator martyr. And so it means that you investigate consciously. You definitely need a foundation for information. You are a natural trial and error type of person. You're an experimenter. 1-3s are very valuable to the people around them and to the environments that they are in. 1-3s have a vast amount of knowledge. So if you're a 1-3, and you hate people asking you questions, get over it because you do have a lot of knowledge. The next profile is a 1-4. That is the investigator opportunist. So each, and just to go back a little bit, each profile has a word associated with it. So 1s are investigators, 2s are hermits, 3s are martyrs, 4s are opportunists, 5s are heroics, 6 are role models. So it's interchangeable, and you'll hear that as I go along. So 1-4s are investigator opportunists. So that means consciously you're an investigator, unconsciously you're an opportunist. And not in the opportunist that you associated with someone who's trying to get over on somebody, but an investigator opportunist, a 1-4, you consciously investigate while you wait for opportunities to be presented to you. You are very foundational. You need data before taking action and moving forward with things. And you don't transition easily. Sometimes that when you feel uncomfortable and you might take a little bit to leap to an opportunity until, you've assessed that. I hope that makes sense. For my 2-4s, you're the hermit opportunist. And that means hermit opportunists are funny. 2/4s are funny. I get along very, very well with 2/4s because it's like you're ambivert. You're extroverted and you're introverted. So it's like 1 minute is like, I just want to be left alone. The next minute is like, I need to get outside. And so I'm an ambivert naturally. So I think that's why I get along so well with 2/4s, because they can seem shy, but they're also very the life of the party. And majority of 2/4s are either pure generators or projectors. So that's kind of interesting. So with 2/4s, I think that's why I get along with them. Then you have your 2/5s. 2/5s are the hermit heroic. And what that means is that you're consciously a hermit. So you want to be alone, but you're also unconsciously like ready to like be out there, be amongst the community. Sometimes people have to draw you out. And you got to be careful at times. So you make sure that you choose the right opportunities in the right circumstances, but that comes along with your strategy, using your strategy. So you 2/5s have a great potential for being leaders and I would say being advocates for things. But they have to be called out to it. So they're very like, they're the protester friend that you have who's always trying to stand up for what's right. That's a 2/5. Then you have 3/5s. I'm a 3/5. So it's the martyr heroic. So we are very trial and error. We are experimenters. We are unconscious leaders. The only way that we discover things is through experience, and we figure out what works and what doesn't work. My 3/5s who are listening, that's, you hear me talk of all the career things and all the education that I've done. And most 3/5s are very much into that, in experimenting, trial and error. So you might meet a 3/5 who was a nurse for 5 years and then they decided to go to law school. Like, it's very drastic like that. And so that's 3/5s. It's very trial and error, for 3/5s. So, for my 3/5s, it's unfortunate because sometimes you look like, oh, you don't know what you're doing, or you don't, why haven't you picked something yet? That's not what you're here to do. You're here to trial and error. So get over it. The next profile type is 3/6, and that's martyr role model. So you're a conscious experimenter. And by, I would say, after 40, you become an unconscious role model. So you always attract people who have different experiences, and you're like that person who's lived. If I can express a person who's lived life, it would be a 3/6. They always have really strange adventures. They meet crazy people. They have all of these stories. And so as they get older, they're that person, and I hate to use they're the person at the bar, but they're the person at the bar who had a former life chilling with the Dalai Lama. That's like a 3/6. That's like a 3/6. They've lived this adventurous kind of life, and they've lived to tell about it. So that's a 3/6. So if you're a 3/6 and you're in your 20s or your 30s, just keep going, keep experimenting, because one day you'll be around, at a bar or even, at the library or at the doctor's office, and you can tell people how you used to golf with, Joe Biden or something like that, or you were Joe Biden's caddy at one point in your life, because that's what the 3/6 is. It's just very attracting people who want to meet you and just having different experiences. So those are 3/6s. Then we have 4/6, which is the opportunist role model. So 4/6s are very interesting because they are extremely friendly. So if you're a 4/6, you're extremely friendly. At times you can seem kind of aloof. You experiment with relationships, sometimes the wrong ones, but you have to figure out what's right for you. 4/6s go through this phase, and I've read a couple of charts for 4/6s, and they hate when I say this, but I don't want you to so I'm going to say what I'm going to say, but so in your 20s and 30s, you might go through a phase where you want to withdraw. Then in your 40s, you come out and you're just ready to like share all your knowledge. And then after 40, you become like this really great role model. But as 4-6s get older, their need for partnership is extremely important. 4-6s will need to have soulmates or a partner in their life. Not saying that you're going to die because you don't have anybody, but just because of the way your nature is, it's kind of important for you to have that companionship. So whether it's a relationship companionship or just really tight-knit friends companionship. So just remember that. 4-1s, that is the opportunist investigator. So as a 4-1, you are a really good networker. If you know anybody who's a 4-1 in your life, go hang out with them. They're really good networkers. They make connections very fast. However, making connections and building relationships are two different things, and they build relationships very slowly. So they have to literally like investigate unconsciously about the person, and see their ways of doing things, their attitude, all of that stuff before they actually commit to a friendship. They don't transition easily. They want to make sure that their next move is their best move. So they're not as eager to leap when an opportunity appears. They're going to take their time and think about it. Then you have 5-1s, is the heroic investigator. Well, heretic, I always say that wrong. I've been saying it wrong for years. Heretic, heroic, whatever. Heretic, an investigator. So that's a 5-1. So they are a conscious leader, conscious seducer, conscious, just very conscious in their leadership. Unconsciously, they're investigators. So they'll draw people into them, but you're going to have data to back it up for them to believe you. So they're one of those, I trust you, but not yet. I'm waiting for you to prove me wrong. And if you don't prove me wrong, then fine. I trust you now. So they also have, like I said, extremely great leadership potential. They are good during crises. They're good during just putting fires out. They make good, I would say, good therapists. 5-1s make very good therapists. They make really good crisis managers. They could even be politicians, if you want to say. They're good at just chaos and making sense out of chaos. So if you're a 5-1, hopefully you have something in your life where, well, I don't want you to have drama, but hopefully you have something in your life where part of your career, your purpose is to be a fixer. So Olivia Pope, 5-1s are good Olivia Popes. So then you have 5-2s, and that is the heretic hermit. And heretic hermits, 5-2s, they're same thing, conscious leaders. They're unconsciously hermits, so sometimes they want to be left alone. That is the interesting thing about 5-2s. It's like, I want to be a leader, but then I don't want you to bother me. So they will have to be called out to their leadership. So it's going to have to be a nagging thing where people are going to be like, step up, step up, step up. And then, they're very secretive, and they must carefully choose how they're going to step up and lead. That's extremely important. Then you have your 6-2, your role model hermit. Surprisingly, I meet a lot of projectors who are 6-2s, which is interesting because 6-2s are very experimental when you're young. And then you have this period of like withdraw or retreating. And it's funny because when I read people, especially projectors who are 6-2s, I always meet them during their retreat stage. So I guess that's like their getting to know themselves kind of stage. So 6-2s are role models, hermits. So they withdraw, and then sometime in their 30s or 40s, they start coming more into their role model status. And they want to be left alone, just like all the other hermit kind of profiles. But it's important for them to share their wisdom. And there are another ones who are going to need companionship at a certain age to continue their purpose and to thrive in their purpose. Then you have, last but not least, 6-3s, role model martyrs. And they're just experimental throughout their life. Even when they want to retreat and like hide, they experiment. They trial and error a lot. They find the best way to do things, and amplify that energy, and they learn how to embrace chaos. And it's like a big ebb and flow for them along the way. But of course, at a certain age, they step into this role model kind of thing for them. So, those are all the profiles. So go and listen to, back to your profile and just think about the times in your life where you can relate to that. A majority of the profiles can, but like I said, your profile is how your strategy and your aura type, how it plays out. So for me, I'm a projector, 3-5. And, when I get invitations and when I get invited to things where I'm seen, it's maybe in a trial and error stage. It's less trial and error for me now. In my 20s, it was a lot of trial and error. In my late 20s, it was a lot of trial and error. Like I said, I can't even tell you all the certificates and things that I have, and schooling that I've done. If I like something, I'll go learn it. I'm a scholar. I'm a studier. I have my master's degree. So I'm always into learning and trying to figure things out. I have certificates for things. You're like, why did you get a certificate? And I'm like, because I wanted to know it. And so that's my life. And so I'm sure other 3-5s can relate. And anybody with a 3 or 5 can relate to that as well. So just go back, listen to your profile. And if you have questions about your profile, totally reach out to me. You can DM me on my Instagram at AC Brown. And you can also send me an email if you have any questions. If you want me to answer any aura related questions, just send me an email at hello@acbrown.com and just put in the subject line, help my aura. Tell me your aura type. Tell me the other people's aura types, and I can totally answer. And make sure you follow me on Instagram at AC Brown. And if you want to know who you are in human design, go to my website and click on the work with me icon, and you can figure out how to work with me. I also have a mini course on the art of the strategy, and it's just a little step up of some strategy insights to know your strategy and how to attract opportunities and things for you to respond to, get invited to, all of that stuff with your strategy. But until next time, thank you so much, and have a great week filled with good vibes and good energy. Bye. Thank you for listening to another episode of Is My Aura on Straight. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at AC Brown, and also check out my website for products and services at www.acbrown.com. And until we meet again, make sure you have a great week filled with good vibes and good energy.